The fact that Jesus is alive, what that means for me is it just reminds me of a lifelong relationship and the import of a relationship with Jesus and how his presence and promises can be very real in all of our lives. For me personally, it was very important to my mom that I knew the Lord early. And so one of my first memories is of learning the Lord's Prayer. And so every night before bed, I had to come kneel next to her bed and until I memorized it, work on it over time until I finally got it. I just learned through church just God's promises. I mean, the word was just very rich in delivering, but that it wasn't just a Sunday thing, that God wanted a personal relationship with me. And if I would take those promises and really live by them, that I would experience God personally. And so for me, I have a lifetime of examples of how I just walked on faith and God met me. I had wanted to be a lawyer since I was a little girl. It was just always something I wanted. And so when I graduated from college and I took the LSAT, all that good stuff, I began to look at law schools. And I went to this national setting that had all the law schools in the nation there. And you could go table to table, learn about each one. And literally the last school on my way out of the door, Drake, stopped me, gave me their brochure. And then when I went home, I laid out all the brochures because I believed if I'm hearing right and God wants me to do this, then he has a place for me to go and he has a way for me to go. And so I prayed about it and I felt very clear that God was directing me to apply to Drake. And my father, after seeing the tour, was very concerned about the cost. It was $20,000 a year at that time. And he was like, I just don't know how much I can help you. And I said, Daddy, don't worry about it. Because if this is what God wants me to do, he'll make a way. So, I did everything. I applied for everything I could apply for to get help. And I got a letter from Drake saying I had been accepted as a public interest scholar and that all 3 years of the tuition were taken care of. Every advancement that people made, whether it was women's rights or civil rights as a whole, there were lawyers there. And I wanted to be a part of helping people. And so to me, helping people meant being a lawyer. When people ask me about my work as a public defender and why was I interested in it, I always think of Jesus as the best public defender ever because we're always being defended, right? He's interceding for us. And then when I think about his word of the least of these, to visit, to provide for, whether a person has a faith background or not, it is ministry work because you're meeting people at their sincerest need. They could lose their freedom, they could lose their child, they could lose a great deal of things, and we get to be there to help them, to intercede for them, to advocate for them, to fight for them. It's fantastic. I just want to encourage everybody that what it means that Jesus is alive is that Jesus is available, and he's available to be very personal in our lives for each one of us. And that's the peace that I have, is that Jesus is alive, and so I'm not alone, and I'm truly taken care of.